Hello everybody, this is Gregory with How I Lost Over 100 Pounds and Kept It Off for 30 plus years, where there should be no hesitance in your weight loss and maintenance. Today I'm going to continue this series of confessions of an obese child and talk about my experiences at summer camp. Now before I begin, if you need help with weight loss, contact me through the Clarity FM link found here in the episode notes. Also in the episode notes you'll see links to my website that has a lot of articles and recipes that might be useful to you. Also, check out my podcast, my books, and if you appreciate my content, there is a link for PayPal. I would appreciate a donation if you appreciate my content. So we're going to continue the series here. So summer camp. Clearly, as a fat kid in high school, I did not want to go to summer camp because, let's be real. What supervision is there in summer camp? It's a bunch of teenagers and maybe one adult. Now, this was in the 80s. And my opinion of summer camp was largely influenced by movies that I'd seen, like Meatballs and other movies like that, that didn't really make me want to go to summer camp. That being said, my parents were like, Gregory, you need to go to camp, you need to meet people, because I didn't really have any friends. And so the compromise was I was not going to go to an overnight camp, because an overnight camp, I could not imagine the amount of bullying that was going to happen to me. So we agreed to a day camp. So it was one of those where it was like kind of like a vacation Bible school almost, but you drove in and there was a camp and so forth. I dreaded these things because I knew it was going to happen. And luckily, my parents only made me do it for 1 year. And you know what goes on at camp. So I'll just give you 3 different activities that I had to do at camp that were memorable back from the late 80s. So archery, my father was an erudite man. He was a doctor. And so we didn't grow up doing hunting, hiking, archery. We barely fished. And so with archery, I was horrible at that. And I would always get the comments, oh, let's shoot him and roast him like a pig, because I was so fat. So I do distinctly remember archery. I wasn't like Merida from Brave or William Tell. I wasn't like these great archers. Canoeing. Canoeing was not a pleasant thing. At the beginning, they weren't going to let me canoe because the regulation was you had to wear a life vest to get in the canoe. They didn't have a life vest that fit me. So I was like, yes. But then they came up with the idea, oh, let's just tie 2 together and then he can get in the canoe. I guess they were thinking, they were considering that, I really want to get a canoe. And the whole time I'm like, no, you don't have to do this. It reminded me, as I mentioned previously in a previous episode, when I got to middle school, my Catholic school, you had to wear a vest. And they didn't have the vest in my size. So my mother had to get 2 vests and sew them together. Of course, which I was the target of ridicule for that. So with the canoe, now I was able to go in the canoe. And I distinctly remember just being really fat. I'm probably like 260 at this point. Not knowing how to get in the canoe. I was just so awkward. And of course, the whole time the people were saying, oh, the canoe is going to fall over. Oh, it's going to sink. All these comments. But I didn't know how to get into the canoe. And of course, I was worried. And I'm sweating, I'm nervous. And one of the things about bullies is clearly I was affected by their bullying. And so when bullies smell that, it's like a shark to blood, right? And so they just refuse it. I'm like, stop, guys, stop. So trying to get in the canoe, I can't get in the canoe. They're making fun of it. Some people try to hold the canoe close to the pier. I don't know how to sit down. Because again, when you're this fat, you don't really know how to sit down on a step that's really low. So you just fall back. And I was worried that I was going to fall back. I was going to lose my balance and flip the canoe, all this nonsense. So eventually I cried enough. They didn't make me do it. Horseback riding. Distinctly remember horseback riding. And I think I've been horseback riding 1 time since this event. Horseback riding was traumatic in that I couldn't get on the horse. And I was so fat that when I put my left foot into the stirrup and trying to, bring my body around, the horse staggered toward me like it was going to fall on me because I was so fat. And of course, everyone is in line to get in there, or they're all laughing and laughing and laughing. And I couldn't get on the horse. I couldn't get on the horse. So these are just three remembrances that I have of summer camp. As I mentioned, I only did it one time because, I mean, even my parents realized that, this is not a good idea for Gregory. Maybe you shouldn't do that. But I can't even imagine overnight camps. And sadly, I think I would have benefited from a lot of the camaraderie. I would have probably found a couple other nerds to hang out with and commiserate that we all didn't want to be there. But overnight camp, it would have been horrible. All the middle of the night stuff and all the stuff that kids do to each other at this age. I'm glad I didn't have to do that. And I'm really glad I only had to do a couple of weeks, one summer of my adolescence. Guys, post in the comments if you can relate. Hit the like button, notification button. Until next time, take care. God bless.